ただのおとぎ話だよ。
ラクター！助けてやる。
The anime begins by telling us about the existence of Magmal, a continent that appeared out of nowhere. This continent is home to new animals as well as valuable resources. The world's rulers have dispatched young adventurers to seize these resources, but they are unaware that Magmal also possesses incredible monsters. Inyu, the protagonist, is a young boy who works as an angler, a specialist who rescues young people who have failed to complete their missions. Zero, his assistant, and his partner is a young lady. Their job is important, but they are underpaid, so they live in poverty. One day, a boy named Kurikusu shows up to thank him for saving his brother. He explains that his parents and brother traveled to Magmal in search of the flower that would cure his illness. Days later, his brother arrives, revealing that he was only able to flee Magmal. Years later, he became a professional explorer in order to avenge his parents and find the flower. Despite the fact that his brother had not returned after such a long time, Inyu accepted the mission after hearing his story. Kurikusu tells him that after being cured, he aspires to be a Lactor, a person who can summon elements at will. However, Inyu warns him that Magmal used everything he had at his disposal to end the lives of humans. They part ways, and Kurikusu meets his brother, who discovers the cure for his disease, but it requires human blood to thrive, demonstrating that his brother sacrificed his parents and friends for her, and unfortunately, he does as well. He did this after discovering that it did not cure, but instead gave those who consumed it powers. Before Kurikusu died, he asked him to save his brother, and despite doing so in his own unique way, he ended up fulfilling his request. Several days later, Amelia arrives as a client, a girl who requests that he rescue her father, an investigator who told him that if anything happened to him, she should seek help from Inyu, also known as the legendary angler. She makes a mistake and calls him Shuin, revealing that he was important to Inyu. Although she initially refuses, after being addressed as such, he agrees to assist her. In addition to Inyu, Zero is a Lactor, but because she isn't as powerful as Inyu, she relied on a robot for assistance. Amelia's father's fortress was under attack by mutated bears, and one of those who worked with him assisted them in reaching him. However, Inyu found it odd that the bears attacked the facility without explanation. A powerful monster appeared out of nowhere, and they wanted to abandon Amelia's father because they were afraid, but Inyu always completed his missions. Inyu explained to Amelia that Magmal appeared as a result of humans, and that investigators like her father only harmed the world. The monster wanted to assist the bears, who were the parents of the cubs they were testing on, so it gives them the option of being attacked by the monster or returning the cubs. Despite their acceptance, the monster still wanted to kill them, which Inyu could not allow. Days later, she informs him that her father had quit his research job in Magmal due to the cruelty of his investigations. And I quickly want to mention that a lot of work was done to make this video a reality, so if you like the video, there's a subscribe button and a like button down below, and you know what to do. Now back to the video. They see on TV that a man named Daesum purchased a 7-colored dove and went to give it a mission. Daesum had lost his friends in a dangerous part of Magmal and had asked Inyu to help him find them. He tells them that when he was a child, his family moved to a peaceful area of Magmal, but he and his friends devised a plan to fight poisonous bugs. They poisoned his friends, but he was the only one who did not get sick. He returned to his old house because his mother thought it was an epidemic, and after becoming a millionaire, he wanted to see them again. So he purchased the 7-colored pigeon, which can cure any poison, and Inyu couldn't refuse. And he promised to pay him enough to complete the mission. He takes him to his old neighborhood, but they are attacked by a massive moth. They then went to the cave where he was playing, and were surprised to find that his friends had transformed into monsters. He had to give them the blood of the 7-colored dove to cure them, but because the poison flowed throughout his body, this would kill them. He couldn't do it because they were still his friends, so they agreed to continue being monsters. They went to the capital one day and discovered a performance by Verena, the only adventurer who has survived more than 8 trips to Magmel and had planned to return. She was famous for donating her earnings to church orphans, and because Zero was secretly curious, she atoned for them. Verena was reminded of her dark past when she saw a girl alone, but before she showed us more, she realized she was being atoned for. Inyu then remembered what Shuin was like. In Magmel, it was a Lactor who found Inyu and protected him. He also remembered Shuin rescuing Verena. Inyu falls in love with her and goes looking for her at night, but he soon realizes that her pretty face is just a disguise. Verena does not return after a few days, and her worshippers ask Inyu to go find Magmel. She didn't want to save her because she knew the truth, but Zero asked her to do it for the orphans who would need her. He went looking for her at night, and he came across the monster Shuin had fought with. After that, while expediting her, Zero discovered the truth, which is to steal the monster's organs and sell them. They left her to her own devices because they were surrounded, and soon after, the news broke that Verena had died. People from all over the world came to conquer Magmel for legends, but none ever returned. In this chapter, we learn about Dendon, a man who aspired to be a famous adventurer despite working in a small store where you could always get discounts. Things were different this time because Inyu was going to pay for everything, though his joy was short-lived when Zero pretended to be hit by his sign. To avoid giving his store a bad name, they blackmail him by demanding a discount on everything they wanted to buy. He wanted to go to Magmel to become famous and change his life, but first they forced him to give them a ride home, and as a result, he ended up falling into the water with his car. To get to Magmel, this time a boat is purchased, but Inyu and Zero appear out of nowhere to destroy it. If he couldn't because of the water, he had the idea of flying, but he fell into a truck that was going to feed a monster turtle, but before being devoured, he was saved by Inyu, who had done all of this so he wouldn't go to Magmel where she would undoubtedly perish. Zero thought a cat would be a good idea after seeing one advertised, but because Inyu dislikes them, he refuses to have one. Zero asks him what animal was in his hat, and as a result, memories from his past return to him. Shuin, a Lactor who taught him everything he knew, saved and adopted him. He meets a monster cub one day and names it Toto, but Shuin has a feeling it might be dangerous. He gives him the hat and creates accessories for him in the image of Toto. Several days later, Inyu finds himself with an injured man. Toto licked the man's blood without realizing it, and they reveal to us that he was not a puppy, but that he became small when he did not taste blood. Shuin arrives to save him, but Inyu felt guilty, and he needed to finish him off in order to continue hurting people. As a result, he resolved never to have another pet. Amelia did not learn from her previous visit to Magmel, and she returns with her father's friend, and they are attacked by a human-shaped monster while flying on a military plane. Amelia's father, concerned, asks Inyu to go look for her, which came in handy because they had run out of money. Amelia exits the plane and discovers that they were not the only ones who had experienced the same thing. Inyu appears and informs us that he was an Endless, monsters capable of taking human form. Amelia realized that this Endless was only afraid of weapons, so she set out to protect Magmel's monsters. From his perspective, humans were monsters out to destroy his home. He saw Inyu as a threat and felt compelled to fight him. Despite his intelligence, Inyu easily defeated him. Although Amelia believes she had ended her life, Inyu did the exact opposite. Yu went to Magmel to get some food. On his way, he came across another human attempting to live in Magmel, which obviously failed completely. Zero stumbles upon a coffee shop where a man kidnaps Inyu, despite the fact that it was obvious that he allowed himself to be kidnapped. He ended up releasing him after proving that he was not a threat, and they show us the man's past. He was one of the people who moved to Magmel. He lived a quiet life with his daughter. Before continuing, Inyu is attacked by a monster. He avoids it and arrives at the cemetery where the man's daughter is buried. He asks Inyu to leave because he is still suspicious of him. Following that, he hears a rather loud sound and encounters the previous monster. We go back in time, and it is revealed that the same monster attacked his village. He tried to stop it because he was good with arms, but a nearby house fell on top of him, and the next day he awoke as the only survivor. We We return to the present, where he is fighting the monster to avenge his daughter, and he ends up helping him because Inu is passing by. Unlike the last time, the man buys him a coffee to express his gratitude. When Zero awakens, he discovers that a woman has been seducing Inu. Despite the fact that this was just a simple dream, and because she was jealous, she desired to mature into a mature woman. Their first step into adulthood was to go shopping for clothes, but they forgot about their financial situation. Amelia noticed her interest and offered to buy her clothes, which was not what Zero expected. Soon after, they meet Daesum, who invites them to a posh restaurant. Amelia informs him that Zero desired to appear more mature, and he considered taking her to a beauty salon, but it was not what he expected. Because she was so small, they went to see Dendon so he could give her something that would help her grow quickly. Dendon informs them that there is a fruit in Magmal that can assist them. Despite knowing how dangerous it was, Zero and the others went to Magmal. They eventually found a fruit after several hours, but it wasn't exactly what they were looking for. They were trapped by a snail-shaped monster as they continued their search. Because Inu was concerned about Zero, he went in search of her and ended up saving them. Furthermore, Inu informs him that the fruit book was sold to him by himself and was a forgery. He meets a man named Rubert while looking for food again. This is a nature-loving researcher from Magmaland who is on the hunt for new animal species. He also made an effort to feed the birds who had lost their parents because they were fascinating to them. They demonstrate how content creators use Magmal's animals to attract visitors. On the other hand, Rubert informs him that, in an odd way, animals in the area have appeared lifeless, despite the fact that we already know why. They saw the home of the birds that Rubert loved so much and decided to burn them in order to attract more visitors. Rubert and Inu noticed, but they couldn't get there in time. Inu informs him that it was obvious that he had been provoked by someone, and he dispatches Zero to investigate. After some investigations, Zero comes across the videos they had been making for quite some time, and he manages to find them minutes later. Rubert went to confront them, filled with rage, but Inu prevents him from becoming the same as those people, despite the fact that he had the monsters take care of them. While sleeping, Zero recalls her tragic past. The Lactors were famous for their abilities, and Zero and others were used as test subjects for people who wanted to create their own Lactors, which still affected him today. Inu left without her in the morning, which worried Zero, so the others met with her to give her advice. They inquired as to how she had met Inu. Shuin asked her to look for Zero before leaving. He saves her, and upon discovering that they were conducting human experiments, he destroys the laboratory. Unfortunately, the past has returned because the man who experimented on her is still alive. Inu had gone to clean the apartment he shared with Shuin. For some reason, he had previously said goodbye to Inu and told him that he would never see him again, but if he saw Zero, he would protect her at all costs. Zero returns home and encounters the man. He threatens to harm everyone she knows if she does not return with him, so she is forced to accept his terms. Worse, he was using the other guys who couldn't get out of the lab. When Inu returns home, the man informs him that he has Zero and he intends to exact revenge for interfering with his plans. Zero was imprisoned and the man was waiting for Inu with a trap. He goes beneath the door and the boys who didn't make it tell him their story. They fled after Inu destroyed the lab, but were quickly apprehended and had their powers revoked when they were no longer useful. Inu went to save Zero despite knowing it was a trap. He used monsters to prevent them from fleeing and fighting for him. When he arrives, several people are expecting him and things become more difficult than they anticipated. He is severely injured as a result of the explosion, and things are only getting started since he himself has become a Lector. He became a Lector because a boy could transfer powers from person to person, and after turning him, he got rid of him so he wouldn't do it with other people. Furthermore, because he had consumed the power of more than 50, he had become quite powerful, and because he had the advantage, he repeatedly hits Inu. They show us in a flashback that Zero called him Master because of the way he lived, and after he saved her, he thought they would admit and end up falling in love with him. Inu was aware that she possessed a power over which he had no control, and as a result of that power, he ends up saving him. Despite the fact that they had thought everything was over, the man consumed several Magmal fruits and transformed into an invincible monster. He takes him to the top of the building because he can't fight him, completing his plan to destroy that place next to him once and for all. Although they had shown us that their acquaintances had been wiped out, everyone except Denton was safe. This brings the story to a close. Thanks for watching until the end, and if you like this one, check out these videos, and I'll see you in the next one.